Thanks, Matt, and good morning, everybody. As mentioned, my name is Rick Istead. I'm the General Manager of the Alberta Wheat Commission, the newest all-wheat commission in Canada, in fact. I want to clarify a couple of things before I get started. First of all, the Alberta Wheat Commission is proud to be a platinum sponsor of the Farming Smarter Conference, as well as co-sponsoring your breakfast, because actually we partnered up with Farming Smarter and agreed to co-sponsor this morning's breakfast. So two organizations are helping you get started in the right way today. I would also like to thank the organizers of the Farming Smarter Conference for inviting me here today to share a story with you. And that story is the Alberta Wheat Commission. And so I want to, in the next 25 minutes or so, tell you a little bit about who we are, what we're all about, and the direction that we're heading. You know, quite often I get, well, why do we need another commission? Why a wheat commission? And my normal, typical first response is, well, why not? We have a barley, canola, and pulse commission, and wheat is a significant crop in this province, so why wouldn't we have a wheat commission? But I think we have to look at it from the big picture perspective. And I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not, but currently in this world there's about 7 billion people. And somewhere between the year 2040 and 2050, it's expected that population is going to grow to about 9 billion people. And wheat is a staple food in many of these developing countries where a lot of this population growth is occurring. And so the experts are estimating that we're going to have to increase our production from about roughly 670 million metric tons of wheat per year globally to 880 million metric tons. So that means mainly through yield increases that's going to have to occur, because we're really not inventing any more land out there. And so that really is the challenge and the opportunity before us. And I think Alberta is really, in many ways, uniquely positioned to take advantage of this opportunity for growth here. We're closer to our customers, especially in the Pacific Rim countries, and I think we've really got a tremendous opportunity here if we do it right. And I think, for me, the answer to that first question, why an Alberta Wheat Commission, is that this organization can provide a lot of support to help producers in Alberta really aim at achieving that growth opportunity in Canada here. And you should be aware that Alberta, typically somewhere between 30 and 35% of what we produce in this country comes from this province, acres and in terms of production. And I think the other unique thing about Alberta is that although 90% of our acreage is dominated by the two major classes, Canada Western Red Spring and Canada Western Amber Durum, we in fact grow all 9 registered classes of wheat in this province. And what does that mean? That means product differentiation, market differentiation, and opportunities to sell that wheat depending on customer needs, customer requirements. So I think, again, Alberta is uniquely positioned to really seize this opportunity going forward. So a little bit about our background in terms of how we came to be a wheat commission representing, according to Census Canada, 11,000 wheat producers in this province. It really started back in November 2008 at an Alberta Winter Wheat Producer Commission AGM, where a producer essentially asked the same question: why don't we have a wheat commission? At that time, we had 2 commissions operational, winter wheat and soft wheat, and combined, they only accounted for about 5% of the acreage, or 5% of the production in the province. So essentially, he tabled a motion which was passed that said, ask the board to go and investigate exactly what would producer interest be in having an all-wheat commission. And we sort of wrestled with that for some time, but eventually I think the breakthrough was we obtained some growing forward funding, and from that we were able to contract Ipsos Reid, a well-known and national market research company, and they conducted a survey back in late 2009. And there was an indication that we had about 60% of the producers that were surveyed in Alberta were in favor of it. There was about 20% that didn't think we needed it, and they had different reasons for not seeing the need for a wheat commission. In fact, some even thought it was a ploy to dismantle the wheat board, but that was definitely not the case. And there was also a large chunk of about 20% who were really undecided because the information they were provided was insufficient for them to make an informed decision. But we had 60%, we had a majority. We went and talked to the people in the government as to what we should do, and essentially we decided to move forward. I think the real breakthrough after we had those results was that the winter wheat guys initially were driving the bus, but then we got another bus driver, and that was the soft wheat producers group. And once they came on side, we started the steering committee process. And 7 producers, basically from Enchant to Fairview, came together under the guidance of an ag business consultant. And this group, over the next 2 years, essentially built a strategic business plan, which is really our roadmap and what we're using today for our operation. They launched a significant producer engagement campaign. We tried to get on every other commission's regional meetings. We came to Farming Smarter. We went to Farm Tech. We were all at the trade shows, basically providing literature to all of the producers that would come in and talk to us about it. And then we provided them with a survey. And from that survey, of about 500 producers who took the time to fill out the survey form, we learned that 82% were in favor of moving forward with this commission. In fact, some said, why don't we move faster on this? And so we really demonstrated to the government, and this is what they were asking for us, was to demonstrate that you've done a reasonable job of communicating to the audience out there, and that's 11,000 wheat producers, that you were looking into creating an all-wheat commission, and then to measure that support, and 82% was pretty solid. So then that just triggered the next step, which was to develop the regulatory framework, everything that you need to do from a political regulatory standpoint to get the commission up and running. One of the challenges that we had, being 2 small commissions with limited funds, was the ability to really fund a lot of what we needed to do in terms of creating a website, producing brochures and material, getting out to all these meetings. But we were fortunate for two reasons. We were able to secure some funds. 2 more Growing Forward funds were used to do a lot of this communication and producer engagement work. And then we were also able to borrow money from Alberta Barley and Alberta Canola Producers Commission. So we're very much appreciative of those 2 organizations for lending us the money. And I point out it is a loan, and it has to be repaid within the next 2 years. And so we've got that on the books. August 1st was the date. Coincidentally, that was the day of marketing freedom in Canada for Western wheat and barley producers. But I can tell you, and I'd like to restate, there was no connection between the 2. It was just purely coincidence. And so August 1st, we went live, regulated under the Marketing of Agricultural Products Act. And this organization is producer-focused, producer-governed, and producer-funded. And I believe that we are actually Canada's first all-wheat provincial producer commission. Activities are currently underway in Saskatchewan and Manitoba to do the same in those provinces, because they see the need of having a single voice for their wheat and or barley producers. Part of the survey work that we did, we also asked the producers, so okay, we're going to be a commission, what should we focus on? And essentially, 3 things came out. Research was big. That was the #1 priority. Market development, help us find new markets or new market opportunities or grow existing markets. And policy or advocacy, so really supporting the organization here at the provincial level. So that information, and that came from both the survey work that we did, really gave us a roadmap, if you like, in terms of what we needed to focus on. Our primary role is to ensure that producer returns on wheat are improved. Every decision we make in terms of investment, we come back and ask ourselves that question. If it's a research investment into plant breeding or a research or an investment into expanding markets, we always have to come back and ask ourselves the question, does it help improve producer returns when they grow wheat? And if it doesn't, then it doesn't move forward. In terms of how we get there, first and foremost, we represent the interests of and we help producers increase the profitability. That's, again, the bottom line thing. Providing industry leadership, and we see ourselves as a leadership organization that improves the demand for the wheat, the agronomic competitiveness of that wheat that we grow, and the profitability of that wheat that is grown here in Alberta. That's sort of the three-pronged driver there in terms of our leadership responsibilities, and to really contribute to wheat-related policy development and initiatives that help build capacity. We need to invest more in research in wheat. That is clear. What you put in is really what you get out, and we've seen that. A classic example is the investment that's been made in canola in this country, and look what has happened there. Australia, on average, invests about $80 million per year in wheat research. We're less than $20 million. So we need, if we're going to come back and regain our leadership position in wheat, we need to invest more dollars. And what we need to do is develop a market that encourages outside investment. We heard yesterday about the potential to leverage your dollars. That's some of the things that we'll be looking at doing. In terms of our strategic priorities, identify and invest in research and development initiatives. Plant breeding would be one main component, but at the same time, we want to couple that with agronomic productivity or agronomic performance. I think we've done a tremendous job over the years of developing new and improved varieties, and those will continue, but I think somehow we also got to bring the agronomic package along to support those new varieties. Market development initiatives focused on not only end-use functionality, but also on demand. So we intend to be quite active in that area and really look at the opportunity. If we're growing 9 classes, what are the ones we really need to focus on? Maybe we don't need to focus on all 9, but maybe there are markets for some of these smaller classes as well. So we intend to really look at developing markets for all of the wheat that we produce. Second priority is to identify and develop policy positions and advocacy initiatives, in other words, PR-type activities that really encourage investment in Alberta's wheat industry. We need dollars to come in. We're an organization that supports the 3 Ps in terms of investment. Public, which has been the mainstay of plant breeding work with respect to Ag Canada historically, but as we've seen, that is declining. Private, we need to see more private investments in here, and producer. We see it as a partnership. If all 3 can come together, all 3 of us can leverage our dollars and actually achieve more. 11,000 wheat producers and stakeholders in the industry. We need to do a better job of communicating to our members and to our stakeholders and really sharing knowledge. You know, it's fine to do all this research, but we now have to take that research, the learnings from that, and convey it in a message that you guys can put to use on your farm to help you with either becoming more productive or more profitable at your farm. A few other strategic priorities to develop future farm leaders, and part of that's our governance model. We really want to encourage more people to come in and get involved, become engaged in the organization and in the industry, because in the end, it's your opportunity to really help set the direction moving forward with the industry in Canada. Strategically manage our organizational assets, including establishing a contingency fund. You heard Rick Tellio make reference to this yesterday in his canola presentation, where they have money set aside to what they call a shutdown fund, and then money set aside to ensure maintenance of operations should we have a bad year and not achieve the revenue that we need to operate. So we intend to do the same. consolidate and partner with like-minded organizations, and I'll just sort of put a plug in. I see a lot of opportunity for the Alberta Wheat Commission to partner with Farming Smarter in really trying to, because we are like-minded. We're serving the same customer here. That's wheat producers in this province. And I think it's important that we look at developing a partnership that we encourage Farming Smarter to carry out some extension-type activities, part of what I call the responsibility of transferring knowledge to the producers so that you can use it on your farm. And so we really look forward to a continued partnership there. And last but not least, to build and retain a high-performing management team, and we're in the process of getting that set up now. In terms of our revenue stream, all provincial commissions that operate in Alberta have a mandatory refundable checkoff. So what that means is at the point of sale, first point of sale, a levy or a checkoff is deducted. In our case, it's 70 cents a ton. And but the producer has the option of filing or filling out a request for a refund, and there are 2 periods, and all of this information is on our website. This checkoff, as I mentioned, is deducted at that point of sale, and based on 5-year average production figures from Alberta Agriculture, we would estimate that this should generate somewhere between $3 and $4 million per annum to focus on our strategic priorities. Our investment strategy, 60% of that revenue stream is to be earmarked for innovation, in other words, research, plant breeding, agronomy, and other types of research, market development initiatives, 20% for communications, conveying knowledge or sharing knowledge with producers, public relations type activities, and policy positions and policy initiatives. More at the provincial level, we would prefer to work with other organizations that are established to deliver the national type of a message. And 20% is for some of the other priority areas that we have, as well as administration. In terms of operating costs or administration costs, we're really targeting to be somewhere in around that 12, maximum 15% range, and would like to be actually lower if we can. Our governance structure, we have 5 regions in the province, 1 through 5, running from southern Alberta to northern Alberta. And within each of those regions, we have 2 directors and 3 regional reps. And on top of that, we have 1 director at large. These 11 directors and 15 regional reps are ambassadors of the organization. These are the people that in your region you could go to if you have concerns or have ideas to share with us, because it's all about communicating in a two-way process. Our organizational structure, at the top of the pyramid is 11,000 wheat producers, plus or minus, and then you can see that we have this group of regional representatives, which are really your first point of contact in many ways. These individuals, you know, they're going to be really engaged in the organization as well, but they will be responsible for bringing your ideas to the directors in their specific regions. And then under that we have the 11 directors, which make up the board of directors. Our current directors, 5 of the regions now we've gone through regional meetings, and for this region, it's Lynn Jacobson, who's currently the co-chair of the interim board, and that in January at our AGM we'll change that to a chair and a vice chair. But Lynn Jacobson from Enchant and Gary Stanford from McGrath are your 2 representatives here, and Jacob Cody at the back of the room is a regional rep. He's got his hand up there. I'm not sure if we got Scott Lair. Where's Scott? And I don't think Josh Fankhauser is here today, but those are the 3 regional reps for this particular region. In terms of how we intend to get work done, we will obviously use a combination of committee structure and the staff that we'll hire to support the organization. We'll have one sort of what we would call operational type committees, largely aligned around our strategic priorities. So we'll have a research committee, a communications committee, marketing, governance, and financial. And then to ensure that the classes of wheat get focus in terms of activities, we've created this class advisory committee group, and so they will cover each committee will cover a different section so that those classes get the emphasis, the focus that they deserve in order to advance them or to support them and sustain them. Now I'd like to move on to our intention for year one. As I mentioned, we started on August 1st, and we've agreed that we really need to focus on a number of things, and the first one is really to build awareness. You know, we're new, and not a lot of people yet know about us, and I'll share with you some very recent market research that we had done. We see our website, albertawheat.com, as sort of the hub of all of our communication activities, but we will be going beyond that. But if you have any information or any questions, a lot of what I'm sharing with you here today is in a lot more detail on that particular website. We intend to get out to as many meetings as possible and to have some visual identity and information to hand out, and an opportunity for a dialogue, a discussion with producers. What's keeping you up at night? What do we need to look at as an organization to really help you improve productivity and profitability at your farm level? We intend to be involved and engaged in trade shows, conferences like this one. So I guess the next one that we'll be up and have a high presence at will be Farm Tech in Edmonton on January 29th to the 31st. Ag Expo, Farm and Ranch, those type of shows. Wherever there's an opportunity to engage in a conversation with producers, we intend to be there. We intend to develop an electronic newsletter, and so if we have your email addresses, we'll be able to communicate that way with you. And we'll make sure that there's a return mechanism so that you can actually feedback comments or ideas to us. And we will develop a social media strategy. I mean, you saw Mr. Talio there. He's Mr. Tweet, or Twit. I'm not sure what I call him. But, you know, this is how a lot of people are communicating now. And I really, again, appreciate what the Farming Smarter group is doing here in terms of encouraging use of social media, because we've seen how powerful it is politically. And I think there's a great opportunity for agriculture to move in this area. Not all social media platforms are going to work, but I think there are a couple that I think will really help us in terms of improving communications. I just want to share with you some market research that was just done within the past month. We tacked on a few questions to another study that was going out, and this particular one focuses on unaided awareness. So the question would more or less be positioned to the producer. Thinking about ag producer organizations that operate in the province, which ones come to mind? You don't provide them with a list. You just ask them to list as many as that comes to mind, and they capture that. And so what you see here in this table is canola, barley, pulse, and the Alberta Wheat Commission are the top four based on this survey of about 500 producers in the province. And the top three was what I would expect, and I'm actually quite pleased that since we've only been in operation for 4 months, that we're actually at 16% unaided awareness. It also tells us, though, we have some work to do to kind of move that forward. The second table here, or graph, is really looking at aided awareness. So we would have a list, and we'd go down and just ask them, are you aware of this particular organization? And they would tick it off. And again, you can see that it more or less follows the patterns we would expect, but 39, almost 40% of the producers that were surveyed knew the Alberta Wheat Commission existed. They may not know a lot about us, but again, that's our opportunity over the next year or two to really help them understand what we're all about and what we intend to do. The next big one in terms of our focus for this coming year is to really demonstrate value to producers. And we see now the opportunity is, as we've got revenue coming in, we have an opportunity to actually walk the talk. And we intend to invest in innovative research projects, and we will be working with organizations like WGRF and ASSET-F to really focus on the plant breeding side of things. And we'll be working with, we're in the process of putting together a wheat cluster. This is big dollars coming from the federal government to support, again, plant breeding research in wheat. We're looking at the opportunity for DIAPs, another program from Ag Canada. Any opportunity where we can take our dollar and maybe leverage it up 3, 4, even higher in terms of capability. Also important to provide timely production and marketing communication information. That'll be part of our communication strategy. We intend to give agronomic updates, industry news, daily prices, futures markets, all that information. A lot of it will be housed on our new website that we're in the process of developing. And again, to network, collaborate with our industry stakeholders. We all, a stakeholder is somebody in the value chain that has an opportunity to work with us to actually advance the wheat industry in this province. And this is simply just about not reinventing the wheel, doing the right things, and leveraging everyone's dollar so we get the maximum bang for our buck. Last, develop a solid organizational foundation, also important. And we intend to solidify our governance model, establish operational policies and procedures, hire our core staff, and we're in the process of hiring right now a research manager, communications manager, and a marketing manager, and secure office space. And we had a study done. We looked at a number of locations in the province. Calgary and Edmonton sort of came close. We're fairly close, although Calgary had a slight edge. And currently we're looking at Calgary and potentially sharing office space with the Alberta Barley Commission. Another focus for year one, inaugural regional elections. We've just completed that. We can confirm our directors for those regions. To complete a strategic planning exercise, the board was very adamant that we needed to do this soon, and we're planning to start the journey in January. Investigate opportunities for strategic relationships, and encourage producer engagement. And I think of all of those that I've shared with you, that's the one that our board is most solidly behind. It's important that we do engage in a conversation with everyone. So I'd like to thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I don't know if we have time for a question or two, but I'm around to the end of the day, so I'm at the back there by Jacob's table, so come and chat with me. Thanks again for your time.